Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Scott's Selections here with winnersandwiners.com for Saturday, August 1st. However, this is not going to be the normal edition of Scott's Selections, as today we're going to be looking at a little bit of a future play on Scott's Selections. We're going to be diving into an NHL series prop since the NHL playoffs are going to be starting later on today. So, looking through one particular matchup, you can say that there is some value to be found, and for that reason, we're going to be talking about one matchup in the Western Conference. It will be the late game in today's card between the Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Flames. We're going to be looking at a series spread here, which is pretty tough to find. I found it on DraftKings, can't really find it anywhere else. But if you want to actually break it down, the money line for the actual series, the Flames are roughly minus 132 favorites, and the Jets are roughly plus 105. However, we're going to get a little bit greedy here, and the play of the day is going to be on the Winnipeg Jets minus 1.5 games at plus 240 on DraftKings. Now, this will be a 3 out of 5 series. Of course, there are going to be no home games because everything has been in a bubble, so you don't really have to worry about home fans, etc., as it's all going to be played on the same ice. But Winnipeg, as an underdog, I simply think should be favored in the series. I think they're the more talented team, and minus 1.5 games at plus 240 is a pretty attractive price, and I figured in this type of circumstance, why not sprinkle and try to get yourself a very nice return value there. A couple reasons why I like Winnipeg in this spot. I know they only played once in the regular season, but Winnipeg did win the only meeting before the other two meetings got canceled due to COVID. But if you want to break it down, Winnipeg, I just think is the better overall team. If you really break it down, Calgary was doing really well offensively before COVID hit. But if you actually look at them on paper, their offense really left a lot to be desired. Monahan had a pretty quiet year. Gaudreau had a bit of a quiet year. Kachuk was really good. But I'm really not a fan of the goalies that Calgary has. They have Rittich or Talbot, and they're going to be choosing one or the two. And I think that Winnipeg has a significant goalie advantage with Hellebuyck in net, who ended up going 31-21 with a 2.57 goals against average. He also has a ton of playoff experience as he's been in the playoffs each of the last 2 years. People continue to roast Winnipeg for choking the playoffs because they lost to Vegas 2 years ago and they lost to the Blues in the first round last year. Did they blow a couple of games against the Blues? Potentially. But then again, when you lose to the eventual Stanley Cup champions, I feel like that's not as bad in hindsight as people make it out to be. Calgary's also had a serious issue of choking the playoffs. They had the best record in the Western Conference last year before losing in the first round to Colorado, and they simply just could not stop Nathan McKinnon to save their lives. And Winnipeg, even though offensively they were a little bit of an underachieving team, they still have a ton of weapons that Calgary's going to have to keep in mind, and I don't really have faith in Calgary's defensive core, especially now that their best defensive defenseman, or one of their best defensive defensemen, Travis Hamonic, opted out of the restart, and I think that's going to play a huge factor with Calgary's inability to stop the high-flying offensive firepower of the Winnipeg Jets. You want to break down their actual roster. They got Scheifele, who's fantastic. Blake Wheeler was very good. Kyle Connor is very good. And last but not least, you also have Patrick Laine, who has one of the best shots in the entire league. Not to mention a very underrated defensive core led by Josh Morrissey. So I think Winnipeg is a very solid team. I think they're a little bit undervalued here. I made an argument in the NHL preview video that I think they could be a potential sleeper to win the cup. Do I think they're going to do that? No. But at the end of the day, I think Calgary's a little bit overvalued. If you watch them play in their one tune-up game before this, they got absolutely destroyed by Edmonton. I know Edmonton's a good team, but he gave up 2 goals in the first 5 minutes of the game. I'm not really sold. Talbot looked awful. He ended up playing the first period or so, and he looked awful. Really no other way to put it. He was that bad. And Winnipeg, on the other hand, ended up winning their first tune-up game. Hellebuyck looked really sharp in net, and I simply think that this game, the series, I should say, I think Winnipeg is the better team, and I really think that Calgary being this small of a favorite says a lot about what odds makers think of Calgary's chances of cruising through this series. I don't think that's that much of a reality. And it would really not surprise me with Calgary not being at full strength because they're going to be missing one of their best defensemen, that Winnipeg's offense kind of just runs through them and Hellebuyck stands on his head and wins a couple of games. Do I think they're going to sweep? No. But I think they could easily win the series 3-1, and a sweep is not out of the question. So for that reason, the play of the day here, the special edition, of Scott Selection is going to be the Winnipeg Jets -1.5 games in their first qualifying series against the Calgary Flames. And that one is available at +240 on DraftKings. Other than that, though, there will be another Scott Selections video on tomorrow's card. But good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.